Some cars can get a speeding ticket standing still, especially when they're red and wear an M badge. Let's drive the 2011 BMW M3 Coupe and check the tech. And let's do that somewhere else. This 2011 Coupe in Melbourne Red is the fourth generation of the M3. It's also available as a four-door sedan, not too unlike one of Cinderella's sisters, and as a convertible, both of which just seem a little greedy on the part of BMW.
Now I'll tell you, as soon as this little red rocket arrived, we said to ourselves, this is how an M3 should be configured. Spartan. No LCD screen, no navigation, no iDrive controller down here. Those things seem foreign on a car that BMW advertises as not all race cars should be restricted to the track or something like that. Two simple gauges in a 3 Series, and you see these are pretty familiar, except there's a set of lights above the tachometer. Those are your shift lights. Speaking of shifting, we have the optional 7-speed dual-clutch automated manual, the DCT. When we get that on the road, I think you're going to be stunned by how somebody finally got it right. And if you want to bump up the basic sound on this guy, you can keep this proper head unit and go to premium sound, which will give you 825 watts, the brawniest BMW says they've ever put into a car, through 16 speakers driven by 9-channel amplification. We do have an iPod USB aux combo back here that can be had as either part of a package or a la carte with the basic head unit. Now check out these buttons alongside the shifter here. Power, EDC, traction control off, and this unlabeled rocker. Power is the engine response. Standard or aggressive, on or off, real simple. EDC is your damper control. Off means comfort, 1 light means normal, 2 lights means sport. We have continuously variable dampers or shocks all around this car. That's optional. Here's our traction control. Turn that off for some real outrageous behavior. This rocker is drive logic. It tells the DCT how to shift. You have 5 shift patterns. You see them in bars on the dash. And if you disengage traction control, you can get to the 6th. That's the total wild combo. And all those settings can be memorized inside the M Drive mode button right here. So once I get everything dialed in the way I want it, I can snapshot that as my M mode. Just hold that M button down for 2 seconds, and it memorizes everything. Now I've got 1-button access to go from whatever mode I'm in to wild. One other sort of related drive thing, but it's not performance-oriented, is this little guy right here. That defeats auto start-stop. This vehicle will do the green thing. When you come to a stop at a light or in traffic, it'll shut down the engine until you start to move again, and then kick it back up. You can defeat that here.
The auto start-stop technology is, well, crude. It needs 4 to 5 cranks to get the engine back up once you lift off the brake. And on a car that already gets hit with a gas guzzler tax, what's the point?
Check this out. This is a unique thing on the M3 Coupe. Carbon fiber roof panel. Saves you a few pounds over steel, but mounted up this high, a few pounds can have quite an impact on your center of gravity. Now, this is a coupe thing, not on the sedan, obviously, not on the convertible, obviously, but you can replace this with a sunroof, and then you get a whole metal roof up here, which kind of misses the point. Okay, let's get to the engine, because that's really why you're watching this video, right? It lives here under a special hood, special in 2 ways. First of all, you can always spot an M3 because it's got this big proboscis sticking up right here. That makes room for a big motor underneath, physically big as well as numerically big. Oh, by the way, this hood, very light. It's aluminum, which is also an M3 thing. Now, here's the 4-liter V8. No turbos, no amplification, if you will. It's a naturally aspirated wonder of an engine. It's got their double Vanos, totally variable, stepless timing stuff going on. Underneath here are 8 individual throttles. It's an actual work of art, seriously. Power on this guy is 414 horsepower. Interesting drop down on the torque number to just 295 foot-pounds. Big differential there. We'll see how that performs on the road. I can tell you now, it's 0 to 60 in about 4.7 seconds, with mileage that's going to make you swallow hard. 1420 is the estimate. I bet you'll do 12 on average, the way you want to drive this car. Oh, and a side note for you kids who've only known cars that are high-tech and beautifully engineered. This is how you tell when you're driving a real car. The sound it makes when you start it up cold. Clattering, metallic, kind of clanking. Big old lumpy square cam kind of idle. Not till it gets to full operating temperature does this car sound like it's not coming unscrewed. That's what a high-performance car is supposed to do. This dual-clutch automated manual, 2 spindles, 7 cogs across them, has been a long time coming in this form for BMW. The first one they did was an absolute disaster. They shouldn't have charged anybody. They should have paid you to drive a car with that gearbox. But that was like 3-4 years ago. Now this car is outstanding. These shifts are so tight and so beautifully executed. You can tell by the sound. Just listen to this car run through the gears. And my love for this gearbox is in every mode, in drive or sequential, any combination of the aggression settings. It's always an outstanding, precise, quick shift, which brings me to the suspension next. This car has these 3 modes: comfort, normal, and sport. I'm on a choppy piece of road here. It's California. We have no money to fix anything, so of course every road's crap. And to be in sport or normal with these low profile, like they're 45 series tires, forget it. I'm airborne, I'm flying, I'm not driving. So I've got this guy in normal. It's a very compliant ride, but extremely capable even on a road where you're pushing it. And the last thing I want to point out is how all this works together to be a really good livable powertrain. This thing, when you're in the drive mode, will creep like an automatic. Give it a little bit of a blip, and they'll start to creep along at walking speed, like a true automatic transmission, which does wonders for stop-and-go drivability. Or if you leave it in the softest, gentlest settings and the D mode, it drives like an automatic. There's really almost no hint that there's a bunch of clutches in there doing their thing with a manual gearbox. Okay, pricing on a 2011 M3 Coupe. Base is $58,900. Now, about all I'm gonna put on this car, to be a purist, is the dual clutch transmission, $2,100. Someone finally got it right. And I might spend $1,000 on that dynamic suspension. Now, of course, you can add Sirius satellite radio, BMW Bluetooth with BMW Assist, park distance sensors, $1,900 for the premium sound. I'd probably skip all those. You know what else I might skip? This car, and instead pick up a 335 IS. Look at the numbers.
You see, as much as I like the M3, if it's my money we're playing with here, I'd skip it and its gas guzzler tax of $1,300 and look hard at a 335 IS. Here's how they stack up. On MSRP, the M3 is 15% pricier. That buys you a 23% bump in horsepower, but quite a bit less torque. It's a little porkier at 133 pounds heavier, even with that carbon hat. And after all that is only 0.4 seconds or 8% quicker to 60. Get the IS and your fuel economy goes from dismal to pretty good, but you'll have to say goodbye to that sweet dynamic suspension and dual clutch transmission. Look, if you really get on the track and don't just talk about doing it, the M3 is your car. Just make sure you pour it straight.